What words or phrases do people use wrong either in writing or in the spoken word that hurt you most? Cognitive dissonance. People usually use it to describe when a person professes some belief, but doesn't realize they are acting in a way that is in violation of what they said. That is, happily oblivious to it. But actually, cognitive dissonance is a mental conflict that occurs when your beliefs don't line up with your actions and you know it and are bothered by it. It's an uncomfortable state of mind when someone has contradictory values, attitudes, or perspectives about the same thing. The glottal stops in words with a T in the middle. For example, saying important instead of important in American English. To me, it's not just immature sounding, it sounds like an adult's trying to speak like a toddler because they think it's cute. It's babyish and uneducated sounding. I know it's unreasonable, but this one makes me rage. I don't want the news read to me by someone who says due to snowstorms, the Mullen Passes will be closed this weekend. This doesn't happen too often, but if I start watching a new TV series or film and instead of Christ's sake they say Christ's sakes, I know it's most likely a shitty production. Like almost Bone Apple Tea level. Nothing to do with religion, just the fact that they failed with a rather basic error in their actual language, and that same error somehow made it through an entire production and nobody pointed it out. Processes, biases, preferences. Changing the end of a Greek origin is word like analysis or oasis to analyzes. Oases is only for words like that. Process isn't Greek and it isn't is. Neither is bias. Seems like it started out as some pseudo-intellectual thing where people said because it sounded smart it doesn't, but it's got enough momentum now that people just say it. Irks me the most, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of dolts saying all of a sudden. Maybe it's by accident, so many half-wits are saying on accident. You may say there, it's not that bad. That's because you're the one spreading your atrocious grammar. But what really shits me is when people say things like this needs repaired. This is likely because their brains need repairing. The Immaculate Conception, a Catholic concept that the Mother Mary was born without original sin, being used to mean the virgin birth, the broader Christian concept that Jesus was born to a virgin mother. I think people are just embarrassed to say the word virgin, so they use a fancier sounding phrase that they wrongly assume means the same thing. Disinterested and uninterested mean different things. Discreet and discreet are totally different too. I left school just before my 15th birthday in 1970, so it's nothing to do with level of education. I am someone who understands that language changes. I'm not bothered by literally, not literally meaning literally, but sometimes it really matters. I don't like the term meteoricarize. Meteors fall to Earth, that's what they do. They fall. And people will be, like, but maybe they rise from somewhere else? We live on Earth. If you don't like it, move. I looked it up, and I realized that meteoric rise is considered perfectly acceptable in that time, in fact, wrong. I grudgingly accept that. It's one that has changed over the last 20 or so years. Things used to resonate for us, now it's I resonate with the thing. You are not a bell, the thing is the bell, but you know what, the battle is already lost, people don't even use it the former way. This really resonates for me. Yes. I resonate with this message. No, I brought myself some new shoes. You asked for that book, so I bought it with me. It's not hard to get it right. I bought. Brought. Similarly, when people say or write I was wandering down the hallway or I wondered where you got to. I know there are more important things to worry about, but it just winds me up when people say by the way first. I have a few coworkers who will give a compliment to a customer when they first walk up, before any words have been exchanged. By the way, I really like your nails now, what can I get for you? By the way is an afterthought, or used to change topics, not the way to start a conversation. Spoken word. I hate how whenever what even is that monstrosity? Written word is people getting simple words mixed up, such as to, then, there. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight now I've opened up that can of worms for myself. Oh, and special shout out to Chose Choose and Lose when people say the building's occupants were evacuated or something like that. The correct usage would be the building was evacuated. If you are evacuating people, it means they are getting an enema. Also, when people say you should be hung. The term is hanged if you are hung, congrats, but don't rub it in. I hate when I hear the blah 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 of it all. Like in a sports show, speculating if they were speculating about the Patriots a few years ago, and then we go back to the Tom Brady of it all. I can't explain why, but whenever it's used it makes me mad. Like just say and then when it comes to Tom Brady, could care less if true, you care little. Couldn't care less, white check mark. A myriad of ducks, myriad is like the word many. So the A is out of place. Myriad ducks, white check mark. My bad is a grammatical abomination since first appearance in the 1990s. Really hoped it would die out. My mistake, my gaffe, oopsie, white check mark. You used to get without further ado on YouTube videos a lot. The correct phrase is without further ado. I get it, ado is a pretty uncommon word these days and means fussing around or pointless activity. But without further ado, without further goodbye is just dumb. A lot of younger kids in the UK, at least in my area, have created this kinda new word that drives me mad. They would say as well as a single word, like Roswell, instead of saying as well like a normal human being. They also can't seem to distinguish between borrow and lend. Anyone that says the word that's represented by the last letter of an acronym, ATM machine, PIN number, VIN number, etc. drives me mad. Syndrome for those that are interested in reading about it. Blood is thicker than water. Well, yes it is, however it doesn't mean that family is closer than friends. The original saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning that the bonds we choose are stronger than the bonds we are born with. There is the quote, blood runs thicker than water, people used to convey family is more important and so on. However, the original quote says blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb, which basically means the family you choose is more important, the polar opposite. My absolute biggest pet peeve is could've, should've, would've. They are contractions for could have, should have, and would have. I've been seeing a lot of "I'll" lately when "I'll" is intended. It doesn't bug me, but I do wonder if people want to know that they were incorrect. Anything abbreviated with slang. Like your, constant incorrect your, there, break, here, bear, like proofreading seems like a last skill. I'm not 100 perfect by any stretch, but I at least make an effort. Lol, I teach writing, and the number of times I have to correct cause because it's going to do me in one day. Also, someone told the high schoolers about the word incandescent. Everyone is using it, and no one is using it correctly. They all think it means complex, getting online instead of in line. Walking on eggshells when the correct expression is walking on eggs. Since eggshells are already broken and don't take any caution, whereas walking on eggs is almost impossible, which is the point of the expression. Immaculate Conception. It was not conceiving Jesus without sex. It was conceiving Mary without original sin, to make her a pure vessel. Everyone always gets it wrong and it drives me bonkers, for reasons I can't explain, since some Jewish people who say memento when they mean memento. There's a show I used to watch and would discuss episodes on the sub. The amount of people who misspell one of the main characters' names is infuriating. Someone even made a bot to correct them. The misuse of the word myself. I hear it misused every day at work. For example, if you have any questions, reach out to myself or Joe. Here's what you should remember if you didn't already say I in your sentence: you cannot use myself to aggravate something meant to make it worse, e.g., the situation between Israel and Palestine was aggravated by the Israeli military action. Now people use it instead of to anger, e.g. her constant complaining aggravated him. Overrated, the most incorrectly used term when discussing sports. People often use it to describe someone who they don't like for whatever subjective reason, as opposed to someone for whom there is a lot of unwarranted hype. Recently someone said to me, there's no scientist to it, to describe something that didn't make sense, or instead of the phrase no reason or rhyme. I said what? She repeated, there's no scientist to it. Didn't bother me, but lamau. I was told to never use them in lieu of have. I had never experienced them in any frequency before I got on Reddit. Then again, the colloquial slang coulda, woulda, and shoulda were frequently heard in conversations. That being said, or having said that, just being used as filler. Like, today's video is about text. Having said that, let's start text. I will normally expect the phrase to be used to introduce an exception to a previous statement. Weird Al made an entire parody song about this subject, which you can find here. As for an example for me, using defiantly for definitely and definitely for defiantly. They are not interchangeable. This begs the question. It is commonly used incorrectly to say this leads to the following question, when in reality begging the question refers to an argument whereby the premises assume the conclusion is already proven true. I've noticed in the past few years that no one seems to know how to use the word on anymore. Stuff like what do you do on your free time, or what do you think on my hair? It drives me insane and I see it all over now. Chomping at the bit. No, that is not the phrase. It's champing at the bit. Champing, not chomping. The words mean almost the same thing, and the two are one letter different, but chomping is still the wrong word. This might be weird, but the American pronunciation of karaoke I really don't get how it became that when the real word doesn't sound anything like that, and it also doesn't make sense as it's written to sound like that. Nonplussed means stunned into silence. It's often used to mean unfazed, or not affected at all. Ambivalent means being of two minds, or conflicted. It's often used to mean apathetic, or not caring either way. Nauseated versus nauseous. You aren't nauseous. You are nauseated. Unless you are causing the nausea. Now they have rolled over and accepted the use of them interchangeably because everyone just says it. No, people calling any group of letters an acronym. Not all are. CIA is not an acronym. It's an initialism. Same with FBI. It's an acronym if you pronounce the initials as a word. NASA is an acronym, saying literally figuratively, as a crotch, never hitting the right meaning even by chance. No, Brenda, you are not so hungry as to literally eat a horse, nor that picture is literally to die for, saying literally figuratively, as a crotch, never hitting the right meaning even by chance. No, Brenda, you are not so hungry as to literally eat a horse, nor that picture is literally to die for. I watched a court TV show today at work where a bank robber was talking about being in debt and misused the idiom "you can't get blood from a stone" by saying you can get water from a rock. Thoughtful face, skull. The exception that proves a rule is so frequently misused that it has lost all sense and meaning. It does not mean something breaking the rule proves the rule exists. That defies logic, as does not mean because. Example: I needed to fix my baseboard as the door scratched it. Wrong. Because the door scratched it. As means two events are happening at the same time.